All right. If you're gearing up for the UPSC, especially those mains current affairs questions, you want to stick around for this.
Oh, yeah.
We're diving deep into India's relationship with Qatar.
It's taken a pretty big step forward.
It is, and we're going way beyond just the headlines here, folks.
Absolutely.
We really want to understand why this matters, especially for India.
Right.
And for this, we're using some great insights from the Indian Express.
Oh, great source.
And some key statements
Yeah.
straight from the Ministry of External Affairs.
Perfect.
So get your notes ready.
Yeah.
This partnership, we're going to see, has some serious implications for India.
Big time.
We're talking economy, energy security, even how India positions itself strategically over there in the Gulf region.
You know, what's really interesting is this isn't something brand new, like out of the blue. We're not
Right.
talking about some sudden shift.
Oh.
This is more like we're seeing a relationship that's already got deep roots.
Yeah.
It's evolving, you know. Think about the Indian diaspora in Qatar for a second.
Huge.
Over 835,000 people.
Wow.
That's a quarter of Qatar's entire population.
That's a lot of people.
It is.
Yeah.
This connection, it goes way back. And what we're seeing now is that connection becoming more official
Okay.
with this recent state visit by the Amir of Qatar.
Right. And it's not just like a friendly, how do you do kind of visit.
No, not at all.
They're talking about taking this relationship up a notch
Yeah.
to a strategic partnership.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for our listeners who are deep in their UPSC prep, that's a term you might want to highlight in your notes.
You'll probably see it pop up on the exam.
Probably.
Exactly. Strategic partnership isn't just some fancy diplomatic jargon.
Right.
This means they're in it for the long haul.
Okay.
A commitment to work together across all kinds of different sectors.
Like what? What kind of sectors?
We're talking economic, defense, cultural, you name it.
Wow.
These two countries, they see each other as like key players
Okay.
in achieving their goals.
Makes
So let's break it down.
Yeah, let's get practical here.
What does this actually mean in real terms?
Right.
Let's start with the economics.
Okay.
The trade figures alone are pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Almost $19 billion in 2022-23.
Wow.
And get this, India's a major destination for their exports. A&D, a major source for their imports.
Oh, they're getting it both ways.
Yeah, they are. And they're even aiming to double that figure.
Really?
To $28 billion by 2030.
That's ambitious.
It is.
UPSC essay writers take note.
That kind of ambition is definitely worth highlighting.
Absolutely.
And when you look closer at those trade figures, you see some key sectors driving this whole thing.
Like what?
Energy, infrastructure, and investment.
Okay, let's start with energy.
All right, so Qatar, when it comes to liquefied natural gas, or LNG,
LNG.
they are a global powerhouse.
Okay.
In fact, they supply a massive 48% of India's LNG needs.
That's almost half of India's LNG coming from one country.
It is.
That's wild.
And it's not just the sheer volume, it's the dependability, you know?
Oh, I see.
In a world where everyone's worried about energy security,
Big time.
having a supplier you can count on, that's crucial.
Absolutely.
UPSC folks, connect this to India's energy strategy in your answers.
Great point.
It's a perfect fit.
And it's not just LNG, right?
No.
You're providing other stuff too.
They are. 29% of India's LPG comes from Qatar, too.
So when we talk about India's energy security.
This partnership is a major, major factor.
Definitely.
For sure.
Now, it's not just that Qatar is a reliable energy supplier.
Right.
They're also putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, making some big investments.
Big investments in India.
We're talking about $10 billion
Whoa.
from their sovereign wealth fund
And where's this money going?
into sectors like infrastructure, ports, renewable energy, and even some cutting-edge areas like AI and robotics.
Wow.
This is where it gets really fascinating, especially for anyone interested in how global investment is shaping India.
Yeah.
This level of commitment, it shows that Qatar sees India as a land of opportunity, a place where their investments can really grow.
So it's not just throwing money at anything.
No, it's strategic.
They're choosing areas that are going to help India grow.
Exactly.
And create jobs.
Jobs, boost technology, the whole package.
Again, UPSC folks, this kind of analysis is gold.
It'll take your answers to the next level.
So sure.
It's about going deeper than just the numbers.
Yeah.
Understanding the why behind them.
The motivation.
Like, why are they investing in AI and robotics specifically in India?
Right.
What are they seeing? What opportunities?
With their angle.
These are the kind of questions that'll make you stand out in the UPSC exam.
Great advice.
It's about showing you can think critically.
Now, this is all great for India, but what's in it for Qatar?
That's the other side of the coin, right?
Why are they so keen on this partnership?
Well, for Qatar, India is a huge market, and it's growing fast.
Makes sense.
It needs energy, it needs infrastructure. They see this as a way to secure their energy exports,
Right.
diversify their investments.
Makes their portfolio a little safer.
Exactly, and strengthen their position globally.
Smart.
They're also looking at India for food security.
Oh, interesting.
India's got a huge agricultural sector.
It does.
That's appealing.
So this
It's
partnership,
a two-way street.
it's built on shared interests, mutual benefit.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about the economics, right?
There's more to it,
There are other layers to this partnership.
especially for those prepping for the UPSC.
And I think one of the most interesting things, aside from all the trade and investment figures,
Yeah.
is this push for stronger people-to-people ties.
Absolutely.
They're even talking about using India's UPI payment system in Qatar.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
That's fascinating.
It is.
It is.
It is.
That's a great example of how this partnership is trying to make a difference,
Uh-huh.
a tangible difference in people's lives.
For sure.
It's not just governments signing papers,
Yeah.
you know.
It's about the people.
It's about the individuals who are building those connections, those bridges.
Exactly. And the Qatari leadership, they recognize that.
They see the value.
They do, and that translates into a better environment for Indian businesses.
Oh, interesting.
For investment.
So it's like a positive feedback loop.
It is a virtuous cycle.
Now, let's talk about some of those specific agreements that were signed
All right.
during the Amir's visit.
Let's get into the details.
There was a lot of talk about a major deal
Oh, yeah, a big one.
between Qatar Energy and India's Petronet LNG Limited.
That's right.
So tell us about that.
This agreement, it's significant because it guarantees a certain amount of LNG every year.
How much?
7.5 million metric tons, and this goes on for 20 years, starting in 2028.
So they've got a secure supply for a while.
They do, and that's vital for India, especially as they're trying to balance things out with renewable energy.
That's smart, considering how unpredictable the global energy scene can be.
It is. Security and diversification are key.
They're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Nope.
This deal really shows how India is being proactive.
Absolutely.
They're securing their energy future
Yeah.
while also looking at renewable sources.
It's a multi-pronged approach.
And on the investment side,
Yeah.
the Qatar Investment Authority, their sovereign wealth fund, they're opening an office in India.
That's a big statement.
It's a pretty big deal, right?
It shows they're serious about the long term.
What does that mean for those sectors we talked about earlier?
Infrastructure, renewable energy, all that.
AI, robotics?
It means things are moving.
Okay.
This move makes it easier for the money to flow into those key areas.
So it's more than just talk, they're backing it up.
Exactly.
And for UPSC purposes, this is a big signal
It shows confidence in India's potential.
as a place to invest.
For sure.
And it's not just about these massive investments, right?
There's more.
There was also that interesting agreement about UPI.
Oh, yeah. India's digital payment system.
That's going to be available in Qatar.
That's a game changer, especially for the Indian diaspora.
Yeah, imagine being able to use UPI at, like, any Qatar National Bank terminal.
Anywhere in the country.
Makes life so much easier.
It does. Remittances, daily transactions, it all becomes smoother.
So much more
To
convenient.
millions of Indians.
Sometimes it's those little details that make the biggest impact.
Absolutely. It shows this partnership is about more than just grand gestures.
Right, it's about actually making things better for people.
On the ground.
And let's not forget about Qatar National Bank.
They're expanding in India, too.
They are. They're setting up shop in Gift City.
That's right.
For those who don't know, Gift City is India's big project.
Their international financial hub.
They want to compete with the big boys, like Dubai and Singapore.
Ambitious.
This move from Qatar National Bank really shows they believe in India's economic rise.
They see the potential?
It's a sign that they see India as a major player in the global financial scene.
Definitely.
Okay, let's switch gears for a second. Let's talk about the strategic implications.
This bigger picture.
We mentioned earlier that Qatar is in a unique spot,
In the Gulf region.
and that region is super important for India.
Can't overstate that.
This partnership, we need to look at it through a geopolitical lens.
Absolutely.
The Gulf is complicated.
Web of alliances, rivalries, the whole thing.
India needs to navigate that carefully.
Very careful.
For example, how does this partnership with Qatar affect things with Iran?
Oh, that's a great question.
Because Qatar and Iran, they get along,
They do.
but other countries in the region, not so much.
Not so much.
That's a crucial point, and it's something UPSC examiners might ask about.
They might.
India has to balance its relationships.
With Iran, with countries like Saudi Arabia.
Right, and they don't see eye to eye with Iran.
No, not at all.
So this partnership with Qatar,
It's beneficial, but it also requires some careful maneuvering.
yeah, they don't want to step on any toes.
They don't want to create friction.
Exactly.
It's a balancing act.
Huh? But it's not just about avoiding friction.
Right.
Could India use this partnership to do some good?
Interesting thought.
Like, could they be a peacemaker, a bridge between different viewpoints
Because they have good relationships with both sides.
with both Qatar and Iran?
That's a possibility. Definitely something to consider.
This partnership could give India a platform
To promote stability
to encourage cooperation.
in a region that really needs it.
Now, of course, with any partnership, there are potential bumps in the road.
Challenges, for sure.
What are some things that could come up in the future?
One area to keep an eye on is labor rights.
Okay.
Qatar's made some progress with reforms.
That's good.
But India needs to keep pushing.
For the well-being of its citizens working there.
Absolutely.
It's about making sure everyone benefits
That the economic benefits are shared.
and that people are treated fairly.
Safe working conditions for everyone.
This is a good reminder that diplomacy is about more than just governments talking to each other.
It's about people.
It's about the everyday lives of people
Exactly.
and making sure those people benefit from the cooperation.
Absolutely.
Another potential issue could be religious freedom.
That's a sensitive one.
Both India and Qatar has diverse populations,
Uh-huh.
different religious practices,
It requires open dialogue,
respect for each other.
for sure.
These are complexities that come with any international partnership,
They do.
especially in a region as diverse as the Gulf.
So many different perspectives.
But the fact that India and Qatar are willing to have these conversations
It's a good sign.
shows they're committed to building something real
Based on understanding.
and a willingness to tackle the tough issues.
Head on.
So, as we've seen, this India-Qatar partnership is multifaceted.
Many layers.
We've got energy, finance,
Yeah.
people-to-people ties, strategic considerations, the whole shebang.
It's a big deal.
It has implications for India's economy, security, its role in the world.
Absolutely.
It's a partnership worth watching.
Especially for those getting ready for the UPSC exams. Yeah.
Definitely.
This is a topic that could easily show up on the prelims or the mains.
So understanding it is key.
Having a nuanced understanding, that's what'll give you an edge.
Now, before we wrap up, let's take a moment to highlight something important,
Right.
something that often gets overlooked.
What's that?
The Indian diaspora in Qatar.
Yes.
Their story is really at the heart of this whole relationship.
It is. They're the bridge between the two nations.
They've contributed so much to Qatar's development.
They have, across all sectors, you know?
Construction, healthcare, finance, they're everywhere.
It's amazing.
Their presence has fostered understanding, cultural exchange.
It's the foundation of this partnership.
It's a great example of the power of people-to-people connections
Something we don't talk about enough.
in international relations.
We get caught up in the big picture sometimes.
Right, it's not just about governments.
Just, hey,
It's about the individuals.
the people who build those bridges,
Exactly, and the Qatari leadership, they see that,
they appreciate it.
and that makes a difference. It creates a more welcoming environment
For Indian businesses,
for investments.
it's a win-win.
Now, let's get back to those agreements.
Right.
We talked about the big LNG deal.
A major one.
Let's look at some of the other stuff.
What else is on the table?
There was a lot of discussion about India's UPI payment system
Oh, right.
being made available in Qatar.
That's a big one,
It is. It's a game changer.
especially for the Indian diaspora.
Imagine being able to use UPI
At any Qatar National Bank terminal,
across the country.
that makes remittances so much easier.
Transactions smoother
Daily life more convenient.
for millions of people.
It's a great example of how this partnership is about more than just the big headlines.
Right.
It's about the little things that make a difference.
It's about practicality.
Exactly.
And let's not forget about Qatar National Bank expanding into India.
Oh, yeah, they're setting up an office in Gifty.
That's a huge vote of confidence in India's economic future.
It is. Gifty City is India's ambitious project, you know?
It's their international financial hub.
They're aiming to rival places like Dubai and Singapore.
This move from Qatar National Bank shows they believe in India's potential.
They see India as a major player on the global financial stage.
Now, let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about the strategic implications of this partnership.
The big picture,
We talked about Qatar's unique position in the Gulf region,
a strategically vital region.
especially for India.
We need to analyze this through a geopolitical lens.
Absolutely. The Gulf is a complex region.
It is a web of alliances, rivalries. You have to be careful.
India needs to navigate these relationships very carefully.
Very carefully.
For example, how does this partnership with Qatar affect India's relationship with Iran?
That's a key question.
Because Qatar and Iran, they get along.
They do.
But other countries in the region, not so much.
Not so much.
India has to balance its ties with all these different players.
It's a delicate dance.
So this partnership with Qatar, while beneficial, also requires careful diplomacy.
Absolutely. You don't want to create friction.
It's a balancing act.
It is.
But it's not just about avoiding negative consequences.
Right.
Maybe India can use this partnership to do some good.
Interesting thought.
Could they act as a mediator, a bridge between different perspectives?
Since they have good relationships with both Qatar and Iran, that's a possibility.
It could give India a platform to promote stability and cooperation.
In a region that really needs it.
Now, of course, with any partnership, there are potential challenges.
Bumps in the road.
What are some things that might come up in the future?
Well, one area to watch is labor rights.
Okay, tell me more.
Qatar has made some progress with reforms, but India needs to keep advocating for the well-being of its citizens working there.
That's important.
It's about making sure that economic benefits are shared fairly and that everyone has safe working conditions.
It's a reminder that diplomacy isn't just about government